Welcome to the Don Joseph Royal News, where we unveil the hidden truths behind palace walls and celebrity controversies that shake the world. Today we bring you a story that has sent shockwaves through Hollywood and beyond, a story of broken dreams, shattered expectations, and a couple who once commanded the world's attention now finding themselves standing alone in the very kingdom they thought would embrace them. What happened to Prince Harry and Meghan Markle in Hollywood? Why has the entertainment capital of the world turned its back on the Duke and Duchess of Sussex? Stay with us as we unravel every detail of this stunning fall from grace. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are facing what many are calling their biggest crisis since leaving the royal family. Hollywood insiders have delivered a devastating verdict. The glittering dream they chased across the Atlantic Ocean appears to be crumbling right before their eyes. Multiple sources speaking to major entertainment publications have declared something unthinkable just a few years ago. Hollywood has no appetite for the Sussexes anymore. The couple who once seemed destined to conquer the entertainment industry with their star power and royal mystique now find themselves on the outside looking in. But how did we get here? How did two of the most famous people on the planet go from being courted by streaming giants and A-list celebrities to becoming what insiders now describe as worn out and stale? Let us take you back to where this extraordinary journey began. When Prince Harry and Meghan Markle made the shocking announcement in January 2020 that they would be stepping back from their roles as senior members of the British royal family, the world watched in absolute disbelief. The media dubbed it Megxit. Royal commentators called it unprecedented. The Queen released carefully worded statements. Prince William and Prince Charles reportedly felt blindsided. But Harry and Meghan were determined. They spoke of wanting financial independence, of protecting their mental health, of escaping the relentless British tabloid press that they claimed had made their lives unbearable. They wanted to forge their own path, to use their platform for good, to tell their own story on their own terms. And where better to do that than in California, the land of sunshine, second chances, and endless opportunity? The couple initially moved to Canada before settling permanently in the exclusive coastal enclave of Montecito, California, in the summer of 2020. Montecito is not just any California town. It is where Oprah Winfrey owns property, where Ellen DeGeneres has lived, where tech billionaires and Hollywood royalty retreat behind guarded gates and manicured hedges. The Sussexes purchased a stunning $14 million mansion complete with 9 bedrooms, 16 bathrooms, a library, a gym, a game room, a home theater, and sprawling gardens where their children Archie and Lilibet could play in privacy. It seemed like the perfect fresh start. Harry and Meghan were finally free from the constraints of royal protocol. Free from the watchful eyes of palace courtiers. Free to be themselves and build the life they had always dreamed of. And at first, the world seemed to open its arms to them. Within months of their arrival in California, Harry and Meghan signed a massive multi-year deal with Netflix reportedly worth over $100 million. They launched their production company Archewell Productions with grand ambitions to create documentaries, docuseries, feature films, scripted shows, and children's programming that would inspire and inform. Shortly after, they inked another lucrative deal with Spotify worth an estimated $25 million to produce podcasts through Archewell Audio. The couple appeared on magazine covers. They gave carefully orchestrated interviews. They attended exclusive events. Harry and Meghan were positioning themselves as Hollywood power players who would leverage their unique position as former royals to create meaningful content that would resonate with audiences worldwide. The future looked incredibly bright. But then came the Oprah interview. In March 2021, Harry and Meghan sat down with Oprah Winfrey for what would become one of the most explosive television events in recent history. Watched by more than 17 million viewers in the United States alone and broadcast in over 70 countries, the interview contained bombshell after bombshell. Meghan revealed that life within the royal family had become so unbearable that she had experienced suicidal thoughts. She said she had begged for help from the institution but was told it would not be good for the optics. Harry spoke about feeling trapped within the system, about history repeating itself, drawing painful parallels between his wife's treatment and what his mother Princess Diana had endured. But perhaps the most incendiary allegation came when Meghan disclosed that there had been conversations within the royal family about how dark their son Archie's skin might be before he was born. The revelation sent shockwaves through the Commonwealth and sparked intense debate about racism within the British monarchy. The interview divided public opinion sharply. Some viewers felt deep sympathy for Meghan and Harry, seeing them as victims of an archaic and uncaring institution that had failed to protect a vulnerable woman of color. Others felt the couple had disrespected the Queen, aired private family matters for personal gain, and played the victim while enjoying extraordinary privilege. The British press was particularly harsh. Piers Morgan famously walked off the set of Good Morning Britain after saying he did not believe Meghan's claims, a statement that led to his departure from the show. Royal commentators accused the couple of damaging the monarchy. Polls showed that Harry and Meghan's popularity in the United Kingdom had plummeted. But in America, particularly among younger progressive audiences, they still had significant support. Many believed the couple deserved to tell their truth after years of being silenced. For a while, it seemed like the Oprah interview strategy had worked. Harry and Meghan were everywhere. They were giving speeches about mental health and compassion. They were photographed at high-profile events rubbing shoulders with Hollywood elite. Meghan narrated a Disney nature documentary. They announced various production projects in development. There was even speculation that Meghan might return to acting in some capacity. The couple appeared to be settling into their new life, raising their children away from the scrutiny they had faced in Britain, building their brand in California. But beneath the surface, cracks were beginning to form. Industry insiders started quietly questioning whether Harry and Meghan actually had the expertise or work ethic to succeed in the notoriously competitive entertainment business. What exactly were they producing? Where was all this promised content? Then in December 2022, Netflix released Harry and Meghan, a 6-part documentary series directed by acclaimed filmmaker Liz Garbus. The series broke streaming records, becoming one of Netflix's most watched documentary releases ever with over 81 million hours viewed in its first 4 days. The documentary featured never-before-seen photographs and video footage from Harry and Meghan's relationship, including sweet moments from their early courtship, their wedding, and their life with their children. But it also contained more controversial content. The couple once again criticized the British press and the royal family's relationship with the media. They shared their perspective on why they felt forced to leave Britain. Harry spoke about feeling abandoned by his family. Meghan discussed the racism she experienced both from tabloids and within royal circles. The documentary was intensely personal, intimate, and at times uncomfortable to watch. Critics had mixed reactions. Some praised the series for giving Harry and Meghan a platform to share their side of the story in their own words. Others accused them of being hypocritical, claiming they wanted privacy while simultaneously documenting their lives for the world's largest streaming service. British commentators were particularly scathing, accusing the couple of cashing in on their royal connections while simultaneously trashing the institution that had given them their fame. Palace sources reportedly felt the documentary contained inaccuracies and unfair characterizations but chose not to respond publicly, adhering to the royal family's traditional policy of never complain, never explain. The documentary certainly generated enormous publicity and viewing numbers, but it also deepened the divisions between those who supported Harry and Meghan and those who felt they were opportunistic and ungrateful. Just a few months later in January 2023, Prince Harry released his memoir Spare. The book became an instant publishing phenomenon, selling over 3 million copies worldwide in its first week and breaking the record for the fastest-selling nonfiction book in history. Spare was raw, confessional, and at times shocking. Harry wrote candidly about his drug use, his experiences in Afghanistan, his grief over his mother's death, his complicated relationships with his father King Charles and brother Prince William, and intimate details about his relationship with Meghan. He described a physical altercation with William. He revealed the number of Taliban fighters he had killed during his military service. He shared private conversations with family members. He wrote about losing his virginity, about frostbitten private parts at a royal wedding, about crying at his mother's funeral. The book held nothing back. Once again, public reaction was sharply divided. Supporters argued that Harry had every right to tell his story and praised his vulnerability and honesty. Mental health advocates applauded his openness about therapy and trauma. But critics accused him of betraying his family for profit, of settling personal scores in public, of revealing information that should have remained private. Royal experts suggested that the relationships between Harry and his family members had now been damaged beyond repair. Even some of Harry and Meghan's supporters began to question whether the constant public airing of grievances was healthy or productive. There were whispers that perhaps the couple needed to move forward rather than continually looking backward. But the book sold millions of copies, and Harry and Meghan continued their media appearances and public advocacy work. However, by this point, something had shifted in Hollywood. The initial excitement about the Sussexes had begun to fade. The promised slate of Archewell Productions content had largely failed to materialize. Apart from the documentary about themselves, what exactly had they produced? Their Spotify podcast Archetypes had launched with Meghan interviewing various celebrities and experts about stereotypes facing women, but after just 12 episodes in one season, Spotify and Archewell Audio parted ways in mid-2023. Industry insiders suggested the separation was not entirely amicable. A Spotify executive was quoted anonymously, calling Harry and Meghan grifters, a remarkably harsh public criticism that suggested serious frustration with the partnership. Reports emerged that the couple had struggled to produce enough content to justify their massive deal and that Spotify had grown tired of waiting. Around the same time, questions emerged about what was happening with their Netflix partnership. The streaming giant had paid a fortune expecting regular content from the royal couple. But apart from the documentary series about themselves, what else had Archewell Productions delivered? There were announcements of various projects in development. An animated series called Pearl that Meghan was executive producing was cancelled by Netflix before it even aired. A documentary Harry was working on about the Invictus Games, the Paralympic-style sporting event he founded for wounded veterans, was reportedly facing delays. Industry insiders began whispering that Netflix was growing impatient. The company had invested heavily in the Sussexes expecting they would be content creation powerhouses, but the return on investment was not materializing. The feeling in Hollywood was that Harry and Meghan were better at generating headlines about themselves than at actually producing compelling entertainment content. And this brings us to where we are today. Page 6 recently published a damning assessment from Hollywood insiders about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's standing in the entertainment industry. One source spoke with brutal honesty about the situation. "People are sick of them," the source said. "The act has gotten stale." These are not the words of tabloid enemies or royal family defenders. These are statements allegedly coming from within the Hollywood establishment itself, from people in the entertainment industry who have watched the Sussex brand lose its luster. The source continued, explaining that whatever goodwill Harry and Meghan had built up when they first arrived in California has now been completely worn through. The initial curiosity about them has faded. The sympathy many felt for their struggles has been exhausted by years of complaints and revelations. Hollywood, which initially saw them as an exciting opportunity, now apparently views them as stale and uninteresting. Another insider speaking to the publication elaborated on why Hollywood has soured on the couple. The entertainment industry, this person explained, is ultimately about delivering results. It is about creating content that audiences want to watch, about generating value for the companies that invest in you, about being professional and productive. By these measures, the source suggested, Harry and Meghan have fallen short. They secured massive deals based on their fame and potential, but they have not delivered the quantity or quality of content that was expected. Moreover, the constant focus on their own grievances and family drama has become tiresome. Hollywood initially found their story compelling, but there is only so many times you can tell the same story of victimhood and complaint before audiences start tuning out. The insider suggested that the Sussex brand has become associated more with controversy and negativity than with the inspirational content they promised to create. The timing of these revelations is particularly significant. King Charles III is now firmly established on the throne following Queen Elizabeth II's death in September 2022. Prince William and Catherine, the Prince and Princess of Wales, continue to be enormously popular, carrying out royal duties with apparent grace and dedication. Meanwhile, Prince Harry was recently in the news for legal battles against British tabloids, for his ongoing security concerns when visiting the United Kingdom, and for the continuing estrangement from his family. Meghan has been less visible publicly, focusing on various business ventures and her role as a mother. But the couple's public profile has undeniably diminished. They are not generating the same level of interest they once did. The entertainment projects they have announced have largely failed to materialize or have been cancelled. And now, according to these Hollywood insiders, the industry that they hoped would embrace them has essentially moved on. So what does this mean for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle going forward? What happens when Hollywood decides it has no appetite for you anymore? The couple still lives in their Montecito mansion. They still have their children to raise. They still have their Archewell Foundation through which they support various charitable causes. They still have name recognition that most people could only dream of. But their ambitions to become major forces in entertainment production appear to be in serious jeopardy. Without the backing of major platforms like Netflix or Spotify, how will they fund their lifestyle and their work? The couple has reportedly spent millions on security alone, as they no longer receive protection from the British government. Their California lifestyle is extraordinarily expensive, and if the entertainment industry has indeed decided that the Sussex brand is stale and uninteresting, what options do they have? Some royal commentators have suggested that Harry and Meghan might need to consider reconciling with the royal family, but that seems increasingly unlikely given how much has been said publicly. The revelations in the Oprah interview, the Netflix documentary, and Harry's memoir Spare have created wounds that may never fully heal. King Charles and Prince William have reportedly been deeply hurt by the public criticisms and private details that Harry has shared. There seems to be little appetite within the royal family for welcoming Harry and Meghan back into the fold, especially given that the couple have shown no inclination to stop sharing their perspective publicly. The relationship between the Sussexes and the rest of the royal family appears to be at an all-time low with no obvious path toward reconciliation. Others have speculated that Meghan might attempt to return to acting, leveraging her fame and her previous television success on the legal drama Suits. But would Hollywood actually cast her in projects now? The same industry insiders who say there is no appetite for Harry and Meghan's documentary content would presumably be equally hesitant to invest in Meghan as an actress. The controversy surrounding the couple, the baggage they bring, and the media circus that would inevitably follow any project she participated in might make her uninsurable from a production standpoint. And would Meghan even want to return to acting, a career she left behind when she married into the royal family? She has spoken about wanting to make a difference in the world, about using her platform for activism and advocacy. Would returning to scripted television feel like a step backward? The couple could potentially pivot toward more explicitly political or advocacy work. Both Harry and Meghan have spoken passionately about issues like mental health, veteran support, women's rights, racial justice, and environmental conservation. Perhaps their future lies not in entertainment production but in nonprofit work, public speaking, and policy advocacy. They could position themselves as elder statespeople, using their fame to shine a spotlight on important causes rather than trying to create content for streaming platforms. But even this path has challenges. Their credibility as advocates has been questioned by critics who see a disconnect between their messaging about compassion and inclusivity and their willingness to publicly criticize and estrange themselves from Harry's own family. Can you effectively advocate for kindness and understanding while simultaneously airing family grievances on the world stage? There is also the question of their children. Archie and Lilibet are growing up in California, far from the royal family and the traditions that Harry grew up with. What will their lives look like? Will they have relationships with their grandfather King Charles, their uncle Prince William, their cousins Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis? Or will they grow up knowing the royal family only through news reports and their parents' stories? Harry has spoken about wanting to protect his children from the media attention and scrutiny he experienced growing up. But he has also chosen to live an extraordinarily public life, documenting his experiences in documentaries and books, ensuring that his children will forever be associated with the controversy and drama surrounding their parents' departure from royal life. The contrast between Harry and Meghan's situation and that of other royals who have left official duties could not be more stark. When King Edward VIII abdicated in 1936 to marry Wallis Simpson, he largely retreated from public life, living quietly in France and avoiding commentary on the royal family he had left behind. Princess Margaret, Queen Elizabeth's younger sister, lived a complicated life but generally maintained discretion about private family matters. Even Princess Diana, who famously gave explosive interviews about her marriage to Prince Charles, did not spend years continually revisiting and relitigating those grievances. She moved forward, focused on her charitable work and her sons, and began building a new life before her tragic death. Harry and Meghan's approach has been different. They have chosen to repeatedly share their perspective, to respond to criticism, to set the record straight as they see it. This strategy has kept them in the headlines but has also, according to these Hollywood insiders, worn out their welcome. Public opinion polling reflects this complicated reality. In the United Kingdom, Harry and Meghan's approval ratings have plummeted since they left royal duties. Surveys consistently show that large majorities of British people have negative views of the couple, particularly following the Oprah interview and the publication of Spare. Even in the United States, where they initially enjoyed more support, recent polling suggests that their popularity has declined significantly. Many Americans who initially sympathized with their story have grown tired of the ongoing drama. There is a sense that enough is enough, that the couple needs to either move forward productively or stop complaining about the past. This shifting public sentiment undoubtedly contributes to Hollywood's reported loss of appetite for Sussex content. Entertainment executives pay attention to polling and public opinion. If audiences are no longer interested in Harry and Meghan's story, there is no business case for investing in them. What makes this situation particularly poignant is that it did not have to turn out this way. When Harry and Meghan first left royal duties, there was genuine curiosity and goodwill toward them, at least in certain quarters. Many people wanted to see them succeed, wanted to see them build happy, productive lives outside the constraints of the monarchy. There was an audience eager for content that leveraged their unique perspective and experiences. But somewhere along the way, the narrative shifted from two people seeking independence and trying to make a positive difference to two people who seemed primarily focused on airing grievances and settling scores. Whether that perception is fair or not is debatable, but perception matters enormously in the entertainment industry and in public life generally. And the perception now, according to these Hollywood insiders, is that Harry and Meghan's act has gotten stale. It is worth noting that not everyone in Hollywood likely shares this negative assessment. The couple still has friends and supporters in the entertainment industry. There are undoubtedly people who admire their courage in leaving the royal family, who respect their advocacy work, who believe they were genuinely mistreated and deserved to tell their story. But the fact that multiple sources are now speaking to major publications like Page 6 suggesting that Hollywood has lost interest is significant. These kinds of stories do not appear without reason. They reflect real conversations happening in industry circles, real frustrations from executives and producers who have dealt with the couple, real assessments of their value as content creators and celebrities. And the assessment, bluntly stated, is that there is no appetite for them anymore. So where does this leave Prince Harry and Meghan Markle as we move further into 2025 and beyond? They face a critical crossroads. They can continue on their current path, living in California, pursuing selective projects, raising their children, and hoping that the entertainment industry's interest in them revives. They can attempt to rebuild bridges with the royal family, though that seems highly unlikely given the public nature of their criticisms. They can pivot entirely into nonprofit and advocacy work, accepting that their dreams of becoming entertainment moguls may not materialize. Or they can surprise everyone with some new venture or direction that redefines their brand and captures public imagination in a new way. But based on what Hollywood insiders are now saying, the path they have been on is not working. The goodwill has been exhausted. The story has grown stale. And the entertainment capital of the world has moved on to newer, fresher, more compelling stories. The irony of the situation is hard to ignore. Harry and Meghan left the royal family seeking freedom and the ability to control their own narrative. They wanted to escape the constraints and protocols of palace life. They wanted to build their own brand and tell their own story on their own terms. But in doing so, they may have discovered that the entertainment industry has its own constraints, its own expectations, and its own ruthless assessment of value and relevance. Being part of the royal family meant dealing with tradition, hierarchy, and media scrutiny. But it also meant automatic relevance, guaranteed public interest, and a platform that extended around the world. Outside the royal family, Harry and Meghan have had to prove themselves in ways they never did before. And according to these latest reports, they are failing that test. The couple's supporters would argue that this assessment is unfair, that they have faced extraordinary media hostility, that racism and sexism have colored coverage of Meghan from the beginning, that they are being judged by standards that do not apply to others. There is undoubtedly truth in some of these arguments. Meghan has faced coverage that has at times been vicious and arguably discriminatory. The British tabloid press was relentlessly negative toward her in ways that seemed to go beyond normal royal criticism. And the couple's decision to speak out about their experiences was born from genuine pain and frustration. But even acknowledging all of that, the bottom line in the entertainment industry is results. And the results, these insiders suggest, have simply not been there. As this story continues to unfold, as Harry and Meghan navigate this challenging period, the world will be watching to see what they do next. Will they find a way to reinvent themselves and recapture public interest? Will they achieve success in some new venture that proves the doubters wrong? Will they quietly retreat from the spotlight and focus on private life and charitable work? Or will they continue to struggle with relevance and purpose outside the royal framework that once defined them? These are the questions that will shape the next chapter of the Sussex story. What is clear is that the current chapter, the California dream of entertainment success and celebrity influence, is facing serious challenges. Hollywood insiders have spoken. The verdict is harsh. And Prince Harry and Meghan Markle must now figure out how to respond. What do you think about Hollywood turning its back on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle? Do you believe they can reinvent themselves and find success outside the entertainment industry, or have they permanently damaged their brand with years of public complaints and revelations? Should they attempt to reconcile with the royal family, or would that be impossible at this point? And what responsibility does the media bear for the situation they find themselves in? We want to hear your thoughts, your opinions, and your perspectives on this extraordinary fall from grace. Leave your comments below, share this video with anyone who has been following the Sussex saga, hit that like button if you found this deep dive into their Hollywood troubles informative, and make sure you are subscribed to Royal Secret with notifications turned on so you never miss our coverage of the royal family dramas and celebrity controversies that everyone is talking about. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video where we continue to uncover the secrets that the powerful try to keep hidden.